Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you all my information, tips, tricks, and discoveries from doing all of day one in Heist specifically. So I got straight to the Blood Aqueducts and got stuck in, and as a result my atlas is pretty uncompleted, but I have a ton of information for you guys about heisting. So the first thing everyone's asking is it worth it to do heists? So in comparison to a normal map on a 1-to-1 scale, absolutely, if you don't die. And even more so if you have higher level followers and have gear on them and you. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. So let's get stuck into the tips, tricks, and all that good stuff, and hopefully you guys will learn something in this video. To begin with, contracts and blueprints. How do you get them, and what's the best way to mass them up? So there's three types of drops in heists. There's green contracts, which serve as quests, and they're kind of annoying. You can't put them in your stash. All you can do is drop them, and you can't also put them in the heist locker for some reason either. But anyway, these are essentially quest or RP kind of lore contracts, and they drop in the contract caches that you'll find in the world. Now these contract caches are a pretty good source of green contracts and contracts in general, and they will give you experience for your followers as well as a bunch of chests for you to open in there. Now, I don't believe there's any difference or purpose to these green contracts apart from flavor. So at a certain point, you probably will stop using them as you cannot alch them or anything like that. But yeah, there doesn't seem to be any other purpose for them. So that is contract number one. It's basically kind of just like a little bit of an RP contract, which is my assessment on it. Number two, we have normal contracts, and they'll have like a tile set, they'll have requirements and all that kind of stuff. So these drop anywhere in the world of any of the monsters, and they also are buyable from a vendor. These are the only two places that I've found that these can drop so far. So if you want to stock up on an absolute ton of contracts, come over here to Wakano the Barber, and you can purchase items. I've already bought them all, but he'll sell a ton of contracts appropriate for your level for one chance orb each. He'll have a full row of them here, just like Zana, and there'll be a few maybe that cost an alch, but other than that, you'll be good to go. And I basically recommend stocking up on all of these every single time you can. So how do you reset this vendor, and when does he get stock back? So the vendor resets every single time your player character levels up. So you can very, very quickly early on get absolutely tons of contracts in the hundreds if you have enough chance orbs to burn, and you'll be able to have a really, really nice supply for early mapping, which is really, really cool indeed if you figure out that you want to do heisting. The other way I imagine this vendor resets is daily. Similar to everything else in the game, there is a daily reset on vendors and like quests and stuff like that. So that's the other thing that I think will happen, and that is the vendor Wakano. Lastly, blueprints. Contrary to probably what everyone was thinking, blueprints don't actually drop in heists or contracts or really anything to do with heists. They just randomly drop in maps, just like other contracts. Now these things don't seem to be too rare, and I imagine once people start really mapping, there's going to be an absolute ton of these things floating around in the economy. People were getting up like 5, 10 of them on day one, and they weren't optimized for mapping at all, so there's going to be tons of these things just like floating around. So you're going to be able to pick and choose which ones you want to do of them, and they shouldn't be too expensive to buy either, which is super, super cool. So that's where you get them from, the contract vendor and in maps. Next up, heist members. So there's a total of 9 heist members, and there's quite a bit to do with them each, but the first thing you're going to want to do is unlock them all. And this is actually pretty simple if you know what you're doing. So you're going to start out with 1 or 2 members, and all you need to do to unlock the next member is just go on a heist with the latest one you've unlocked. And if you're not sure which one the latest one is you've unlocked, you can just look and see which one is level 0 in everything, and chances are you need to do a heist with them. On that heist, another member will accompany you and check out the heist, and once you finish it successfully, you will get them to join your party, and you can just kind of chain it all the way through until you have all 9 members. And that's definitely something you're going to want to be doing because they all have different specializations and kind of like attributes and all that kind of stuff like that, which you're going to want to take advantage of. So yeah, number 1, unlock all your heist members. Number 2, leveling up your heist members. So contracts have requirements on them, especially when you get to high level contracts and blueprints. So you can see this one here says level 3 engineering. To do this and start this contract, you need a level 3 engineer road. So you're going to have to level these guys up. You'll be happy to know though, in tier 1 maps, one contract gets it all the way from level 1 almost up to level 3. So the XP isn't too brutal. It's only after you get past level 3, I have one guy here that's level 4, that it starts to get pretty intense. I think it goes something like 500 XP, 2000 XP to get from 3 to 4, and now it's 10,000 XP to get from 4 to 5. I believe that level 5 is the maximum for these guys to reach, and I haven't seen anything that indicates that you can go higher than 5. So 5 is probably the magic number, and this final grind here will max this guy out. Number 2, things that you'll probably want to know about heist members. They have perks. So these perks range in usefulness. So for example, Tibbs, he can unlock 1 mechanical chest after lockdown per wing. So this one specifically means that after you trigger the alert, which is basically lockdown, time has gone off, you know, you're just escaping now, you can choose to unlock 1 of any chest which requires brute strength. In the heist. So it could be a league specific chest, which generally takes a lot of alert level to open, or it could be a footlocker that you missed on the way. So that's his perk. Now there's other perks as well. So you can see here, heist chests have 14% chance to duplicate their contents. That basically means when you open that chest, there's a 14% chance that it'll just open another chest with the exact same loot and just like doubled, which is really, really cool. Yeah, so pretty strong, but the trade-off here is that he has increased raising of alert level, which is very, very bad. Increased alert level basically means that bar will fill up 22% faster, and it already fills up very fast. Yeah, so definitely not something you want there, but it is a trade-off. It's like more quantity for less alert. So maybe in the end game, this guy's really insane. Another thing you guys need to know about these guys though is when you're picking, you also need to keep in mind though, as you level them up, these stats will increase and change. So I'm not sure what the base Vinderi stats are, but he's definitely been increasing. And for him specifically, the magic find increases, but the alert level increases as well as you level him up. And to increase the stats, all you need to do is level them up across the board. So a fully leveled guy will have maximum heist perks, and that's going to be a very big deal, because some of them have very strong perks, like Isla, for example. 60% increased time before lockdown. So this is just a straight up multiplier. So you get 20 seconds. I don't know what it would be, but it's getting like 32 seconds or something like that now. And when you're in a grand heist, for example, all 3 of the perks of the guys that you bring with you will stack. So if you go for Isla and like, you know, Talina, you'll get reduced alert levels, and you'll also get increased lockdown timers. So you can see how you kind of like are starting to make a build out of your guys here, which is super duper cool in my opinion. And we haven't even gotten to the gear yet. So level these guys up, make sure they're kind of maxed out. That's going to be a really big goal of the league. Grind them all up to full perks. And you're going to be looking pretty good and getting the maximum reward out of your heists, because without them, you're not going to be able to open all the chests in your blueprints and your heists in general, which is going to be not a good thing. So you want to max them out ASAP. Next up, heist leveling caps. So there is in fact leveling caps, and they're not indicated at all. So you can see here on Talina, trap disarmament is level 2, 100%, and I've done multiple heists with this, trying to get it up to level 3. Now, this is just, I don't think, possible. We've tried lots of different things. We were trying to figure out, like, maybe if we use a green contract, it levels them up. Maybe we do red maps, all these kinds of things. Now, it was indicated by GGG that these guys wouldn't be able to get to max in everything, and that's what I think is going on here. So I believe that you can probably get your guy's main skill to 5. That means the top one up here, top one, 5. I believe you probably can get the next one to 3, next one to 2, and I'm not sure about the last one, but that would make sense, wouldn't it? So I don't think I have anything which is going to go against that here on, nope, yep. I think it would be 3, 2, 1, sorry, 5, 4, no, 5, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, that's what I reckon. That's my guess, but the only way to really tell will be to try and max everyone out. But my assumption is that the top skill, you should always be able to get to level 5 in most cases, but that may also be different. For something like Huck, maybe he can't get anything to level 5 because he has so many stats. But for example, Tibbs, I'm almost 100% confident he's going to be able to go to Brute Force 5. That's kind of my take on leveling them all up and level caps. So just kind of experiment with it, but don't be surprised if one of your guys gets to like level 2 and he can't go to level 3. Yeah, that's kind of like the main thing there. So let's move on to the reward types. So this is actually going to be a bit of an interesting topic. Let's bring it up. But I didn't expect this to be the way, but the actual different skills have different rewards associated to them. So when you zone into a contract, you will notice that there's going to be a little league icon of some sort in the contract. So whether that's, currency, prophecy, jewelry, all that kind of stuff like that. Now, the thing that's interesting here is those 100% correspond to the type of contract you're doing. So if you're doing a lockpicking contract, you're going to 100% of the time get currency rewards. In my experience, this is how it goes. So if you're doing engineering contracts, you'll get uniques, etc. You can see my list here. Now, the only exception to this rule has been perception, which is divination and prophecy, agility, which was essence and harbinger, and trap disarmament, which was abyss, talisman, legion, and breach. Now, there's probably a few others that get added in here. Haven't seen scarabs yet or anything like that. Haven't seen maps specifically. So maybe they get added into the mix as well, or they could only be reserved for grand heists, which is possible as well. So definitely pretty interesting information there. Now, one unfortunate thing is now there was a change recently that made it so that low heists can no longer drop uniques from engineering because people were just doing level 6 engineering ones and getting tabular pretty much every time. So you do need to make sure that you don't do them at super low level for engineering trying to get that tabular because you will be disappointed. So definitely pretty cool there. Next up, I don't have one on me right now because I ran them all, but a good tip for you guys is on your blueprint, you can actually see what league specific rewards you can expect by holding Alt on it. So if you hold Alt, you can maybe see some Metamorph, Scarabs or something like that, and you can kind of understand whether or not you want to go for it, which is pretty cool. And it does show you what you can kind of expect from the heist, which is pretty cool indeed. Next up is heist gear. Okay, so this stuff is going to be quite the chase in my opinion. It's going to be a massive deal in grand heists, and it's actually a pretty big deal in regular heists as well. So getting a full set of gear for your guy is going to be very, very important. The reason this is because max tier, like high level gear, some of the bases, for example, the cloaks have just straight up 9% reduced raising the alert level. So that means the bar fills up 9% slower. So that's 10% more loot essentially on your run. So you get like an extra chest, an extra 2 chests, here and there. And it's going to make the overall experience of playing much smoother. There's also other things like reduced hiring fee and travel fee, all that kind of stuff like that. Not entirely sure what +1 level is. Couldn't figure that out, but yeah, okay. It doesn't seem to affect anything in terms of this, so bit of a question mark. And there also is the brooches. So similarly how you can get a Thieves Trinket for yourself, you can also get a brooch for your followers. And this is essentially Magic Find again. And think about it, 3 brooches and a Thieves Trinket in those grand heists, you're starting to get a lot of increased loot from those chests if you can make sure you get all of them done. So that's where it's going to stack up to in my opinion, and it's going to be pretty exciting. The last one here, I believe, is going to be a combat slot. I have a few of these. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with them, but yeah, it's either a job one or a combat one or something like that. I have spell, I believe it was spell power. Yeah, something like this. So this is something you can put on them. It has like spell power, added cold. I don't know if these stats apply to you. There's some here that say it applies to players and their minions, which I'm assuming is them. It's a little bit confusing, but also there's stuff like this. So that's the gear. And next, I want to talk about Thieves Trinkets. I believe the difference between having Thieves Trinkets and not having them is going to be immense, especially once you get a very good one. But this is the one I'm currently using. You can see here, I mean, I have 7% chance to get additional armor when opening reward chest. So what that basically means is when I open a reward chest, not only does it roll its normal rewards, it has a 10% chance to essentially open another chest with armor in it. So if that was something like Blight or Legion, that would be extremely overpowered and strong. So every like 1 in 100 chests would just be a Legion chest, for example. And that will stack up over time because some of these places have like 20 to 30 chests in them. So pretty cool in my opinion. The other two things I have here are alterations to alchemies, which is 15% chance, not too bad. And augments to Chaos Orbs. So this isn't like the most insane one, and it's not perfectly rolled or anything like that. But you will be able to get some pretty good ones. There is, I think, like Regal to Exalt ones, which is pretty cool. And Regal to Design and Chaos to Divine, etc. like that. So there are some very good ones, and you need to get one of these on you as soon as possible if you're planning to do contracts and heists. Okay, so that's it for discoveries. Let's move on to tips really quickly. So when you're actually doing the heist, what I've found to be the most effective way to do them is to head on in. Maybe I open one here, but maybe not. Head on in and start opening only small chests. With the exception of perhaps the currency rooms in lockpicking, I don't believe that there's any real reason to go for these other alternatively specific chests versus the normal chests. And the reason for that is because the normal chests are actually just league specific ones, but random. So you can get maps, you can get, like currency, all that kind of stuff like that from the normal chests. Now you can't get things like Breach, I've noticed, but I have got 6 links from them. So it does look pretty good in my opinion, and I would just, at the start, when you're starting your journey out, go for the little chest, loot them all, get to the end, get the artifact, get back, and get the experience. That's my advice. Now, another tip for you guys is if you're running a heist, and let's say you're halfway through getting to the end, and you get like an Exalt, or you get a Nurse card, or a Doctor, or a Fiend, or anything like that, you can actually just leave the heist. No alert will be triggered, so there won't be a ton of monsters, and you can just walk out, and it's not going to be risky at all, not scary, and bank that. You don't want to go through the trouble of like going to the end, getting that like artifact, and then coming out through all that resistance with a chance of dying with your Exalt or your Massive Divination card just for a bit of experience on Rogue Markers. It doesn't make sense. So as soon as you get anything good in a contract, just bail immediately. That's what I've been doing, and I think it's going to save you a lot of stress, and it's going to take a lot of the issues out of the league. Additionally, we will just quickly touch on blueprints. Blueprints are most likely going to be where all the money and currency is in this league. They drop very specific rewards based on the tile set they're in. Kind of like how you have different reward types for engineering. Different layouts for the blueprints will give different rewards. For example, Underbelly and Smuggler's Den both give Thief's Trinkets and currency. So out of the 3 Smuggler's Dens I've done, I've always gotten an option for either a Thief's Trinket or Delirium Orbs, or like currency. So it's like 6 Chaos, 4 Delirium Orbs, stuff like that. And it can be quite rewarding, which is quite exciting. So that's going to be my massive info dump for day 1. Of course, it's only the first day, so we need a bit more time to really figure everything out. I don't have all my guys maxed yet. I don't have gear on half of them. And that's when we're really going to understand how this kind of league plays out. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Share the video if you think someone else might find this useful. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.